Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure what time it was blocked.
And I just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something. Cause sometimes.
Oh, you're saying as you drove down which one of the side roads?
When I'm going to a friend's party tonight, and it's a oh my God, what am I even talking about? I needed to buy, it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time. I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Right.
So I just turned around and drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes when I lived there were electrical things that would happen. I left my house around 12:15 because I thought I'll get the bourbon and then I'll get some gas for the car and I need super glue for one of the boys' toys, and I was trying to do all I can before meeting my two friends at 1.
Drive down, Trescott's blocked, you turn around, you go back around on Benton, and then you go
There's a tree.
Right. Pardon?
I thought it was like a tree that fell down or something.
Right. So.
I didn't even think, like, that's the house. I saw a few houses blocked off, and I was driving up the street, and I saw, like, the tape, and I just thought, oh, maybe there's, like, an electrical outage or something. Like, I saw the street blocked. So I was driving into town. I was running errands. I was meeting some friends for lunch, and I drove up Trescott because it's the shortcut. And so I drive up Trescott, and I see the tape, and I was like, yeah. I guess there was like an electrical outage because sometimes we'd have trees that would fall. I turned around and didn't think anything of it.
It appears you were traveling on Centerville Road. Is that a normal way that you would ingress and egress from your Aqua Ridge residence?
That sounds right.
All right, and when you left your residence, you said you were going to lunch. Did you go directly to lunch?
No, I stopped and made a purchase for a party that I was supposed to attend first.
And what was that purchase?
It was my first time purchasing bourbon. It was for not a bridal shower. It was for a bachelor. No, it was for a wedding party, but it was the bride and groom together, and they had asked for people to buy certain alcohol to help them.
Like a stock the bar party.
A stock the bar party. I forgot what it's called.
But I'm referring to your visit to the crime scene.
I did not visit the crime scene.
Okay. You did not pull up to the crime scene tape on Trescott Drive?
No.
I was driving up the street, and I saw, like, the tape.
I was driving on Centerville Road, and sometimes I would take the shortcut through Trescott.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I was driving on Centerville Road, I saw some sort of tape or obstruction, and so I didn't turn.
Okay. There's a message that says, "This is so sweet." Who is that message to?
Objection.
Hold on, what's the objection?
Hearsay, Your Honor. Item is in evidence.
That's sustained.
All right. Can you say who the message before the Best Buy message? Who did you send that message to?
It looks like I sent that message to my brother.
Your brother Charlie?
Yes.
All right. And that message was deleted as well?
I always delete my messages. But yes, it looks like I deleted it at some point.
All right. And that message, what were you referring to in that message, if you know?
I have no idea.
But it was sweet, whatever it was.
I mean, 8 years ago, I have no idea what was sweet.
Okay. On the way to run your errands, did you go by the crime scene?
No.
On the way to run your errands, did you encounter a roadblock on Trescott?
I did.
All right, so you did turn off of Centerville onto Trescott.
I did.
All right, and when you encountered a roadblock, what did you assume the problem was there?
I I figured it was just an electrical storm or something. There was some tape, and it looked like the road was blocked off. And so I just turned around and went back and went up Benton.
And had there been an electrical storm that morning?
I didn't remember an electrical storm, but in the summertime, there's always trees falling and rainstorms, so pretty normal.
Right, and you weren't concerned based on that experience that there could be something going on at previously your marital home?
Absolutely not.
So it makes sense that you might have left your residence at about 12:30?
Sure.
Okay. And did you go to the crime scene or very near the crime scene on your way from your residence to, I guess, to lunch or to wherever you were going next?
No, I did not.
So you never turned on Trescott Drive that day?
I went to turn on Trescott Drive, but I saw that it had been blocked off by some tape, and so I just kept driving on Centerville.
Okay, and when you had to turn around at the tape, right, to go back out?
I think I tried to turn right, and it couldn't turn, so I would have made like the kind of turn, like a K-turn thing.
Was there a roadblock there with?
There was tape.
Hi, Phil Swift here for Flex Tape.
Yeah, and an officer was there?
I didn't see an officer, but I did see a car.
A law enforcement marked vehicle? Okay, did you have any contact with the officer?
No.
Okay. Did you do anything after that to try to find out what was going on down that roadway?
No, I just assumed it was weather, or maybe a tree fell.
Had there been bad weather that day?
No, but it was summertime, and there's electrical storms and trees fall, so that would have been pretty normal for summertime.
right, switching gears here. I want to see where Wendi Adelson was during that late morning, early afternoon time when Markel was murdered and during the couple hours after. Are you familiar with her statement about her locations on July 18th as far as being at home for her TV repair appointment, then going to ABC Liquors to buy a gift, and then going to lunch at Mosaic?
Yes, I am.
All right, based on her call detail records, were you able to determine what time she would have gone by the Trescott Drive area?
Yes, we do know the location of her residence at the time here on Aqua Ridge Way. We do know that she was going to the ABC. This was located on Thomasville Road. Looking at her records, she has a rather lengthy voice call, begins at 12:31 p.m. We see that's on a cell site that would be consistent with the general area of her residence. We see at 12:35 p.m., kind of in the middle of the screen here, her handset's now kind of halfway between there, and then that call ends at 12:47 p.m., and it ends on a cell site here very close to ABC liquor store. So looking at that, again, the receipt time, 12:49, the call ending time, 12:47, we can kind of approximate that she would have been by the Trescott residence, at 10 or so minutes earlier than that.
Okay, are you familiar with Officer Brandon's statements that he saw a person in a red van that matched the description of Wendi Adelson's vehicle at the roadblock at Trescott Drive that day in the 12 to 1 o'clock hour?
Yes.
All right. About what time would she have been in the area of Trescott Drive when she's on her way from home to ABC?
Well, again, I would say sometime between 12:35 and 12:47, or 12:49 for sure at the absolute, because she would have been in the store at that point for the transaction. So sometime in that 12:40 time frame.
Part of your duties out there at the scene, did you maintain the crime scene, the integrity of the crime scene?
Yes.
How did you do that?
We set up a perimeter, and once we established the perimeter around the crime scene, I was guarding the north end of it.
What was the crime scene? Can you describe it for us?
It was on Trescott Drive, and basically we blocked off the road 3 or 4 houses to the north and to the south.
Okay, so that whole area was considered the crime scene and only law enforcement was entering or exiting until you were done?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, when you arrived there, who was present on the scene from law enforcement or?
Sergeant Sims was the first one on scene.
Okay, was EMS there by the time you got there, or did they arrive after you arrived?
They were already there also.
As part of maintaining the crime scene perimeter, is crime scene tape put up across the road?
Yes.
And did you participate in doing that?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
And I think you said it was a couple houses down in each direction is where the tape was placed?
Yes.
And where were you physically positioned?
My patrol car was blocking the roadway.
All right. And were you on the, don't use north and south because that would be lost on me, were you closest on the side of the scene closest to Centerville Road or closest to the other side of Trescott?
Closer to Centerville.
All right. I'm going to show you an aerial map that I've marked as States Exhibit 125. You recognize 125?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate map that includes the scene in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And does it include the position that you were in at the crime scene tape?
Yes. We've been somewhere right up in that area.
Permission to publish 120, introduce and publish 125, Your Honor. All right, so can you explain for the jury where the roadblock was that you were positioned at the crime scene?
So that blue dot right there is the victim's residence. I would have been somewhere right in that area.
And can you show us in relation to that where Centerville intersects with Trescott.
Over here.
All right, so if you were to turn onto Trescott from Centerville, can you just kind of show us with your light the route of travel from Centerville to the roadblock?
Comes around here, up, and back around.
Okay. Would you have been able to see the roadblock from the intersection of Centerville and Trescott?
No.
I was driving on Centerville Road, and sometimes I would take the shortcut through Trescott.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I was driving on Centerville Road, I saw some sort of tape or obstruction, and so I didn't turn.
If you had just started to turn onto Trescott and then rerouted back onto Centerville, would you have been able to see the roadblock that way?
No, you'd have to go a considerable amount around.
Okay.
I went to turn on Trescott Drive, but I saw that it had been blocked off by some tape, and so I just kept driving on Centerville.
Okay, and when you had to turn around at the tape, right, to go back out?
I think I tried to turn right, and it couldn't turn, so I would have made like the kind of turn, like a K-turn.
And from the roadblock where you were positioned, could you see the crime scene?
Yes.
I didn't even think, like, that's the house. I saw a few houses blocked off, and
And you mentioned that there was EMS and other law enforcement there. Were there marked law enforcement vehicles in the driveway and roadway directly in front of the crime scene?
When I was on the perimeter position, I know there was a lot of investigators and crime scene vehicles. I don't remember if any of the marked patrol cars were in front of the residence. They may have been.
Okay, so what type of vehicles were out there? Can you describe what sort of activity was happening at the Markell residence when you were at the perimeter?
Basically, the investigators and the crime scene techs taking care of their portion. And the crime scene tech vehicles are marked police and have lights on them and stuff.
All right, so would it have been obvious to someone approaching your position in a vehicle that there was law enforcement activity going on at that residence?
It seems likely.
All right, and when you encountered a roadblock, what did you assume the problem was there?
I figured it was just an electrical storm or something. There was some tape, and it looked like the road was blocked off, and so I just turned around and went back and went up Benton.
And had there been an electrical storm that morning?
I didn't remember an electrical storm, but in the summertime there's always trees falling and rainstorms, so pretty normal.
Do you recognize this vehicle?
It looks like a vehicle that I saw approaching the scene that day.
I'm sorry, will you repeat your answer?
It appears to be a vehicle that I saw approaching the scene that day.
All right, and this vehicle, are you familiar particularly with the make and model of this particular vehicle?
Yes, my wife drove we still have it. My daughter drives it now, 2006 Honda Odyssey.
So at the time you had in your family this same type of vehicle?
Yes.
And did you know at the time that Wendi Adelson drove this type of vehicle?
Yes.
All right, so you noticed this vehicle or a vehicle identical to this one approach your position?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did the vehicle do when it approached your position?
Just stopped pretty quick and turned around and headed back in the other direction.
Did the driver stop and inquire of you what the activity was at the Markell residence?
No.
Do you know what time of day that was that you observed this vehicle approach the roadblock?
Sometime a little afternoon, probably around closer to 1.
And just to clarify, were there any other roadblocks between where you were positioned and encountered this vehicle and the Centerville intersection?
No.
Yeah, and an officer was there?
I didn't see an officer, but I did see a car.
A law enforcement marked vehicle? Okay, did you have any contact with the officer?
No.
Okay. No further questions?
Officer Brandon, good morning.
Morning.
So, I want to get a little bit more precise. Do you know how many houses the tape was away from? Because we just heard a couple, we heard maybe 3. Do you know how many houses it was?
I don't know exactly. I'm approximating 3 or 4 houses.
Do you know a forensic specialist, Maltese?
I'm familiar.
She testified that it was 5 to 6 houses away. Could that be correct?
Could be.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
When you arrived on the scene, it was taped off, correct?
Yes, it was.
And the tape was approximately 5 or 6 properties to either side?
Correct.
So either side of the residence, right?
Yes.
You said that you saw the Honda Odyssey approach in the afternoon, and you said it was closer to 1. Do you recall testifying to that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Are you aware that cell phone data puts that car on the outer perimeter later, meaning after 12:30 p.m.?
I'm not familiar with any of that.
But it would be consistent with your memory that it was closer to 1 o'clock, right?
That appears to be, but it's been 9 years.
And when that car left, you're aware that the ambulance was already gone, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Could you see that the driver of the car was on the phone at the time that she approached?
No.
drive up Trescott, and I saw that it was blocked. So I went to drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was driving up the street, and I saw, like, the tape. Like, I saw the street blocked, and I drove up Trescott, because it's the shortcut. And so I drive up Trescott, and I see the tape.
I was driving on Centerville Road, and sometimes I would take the shortcut through Trescott.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I was driving on Centerville Road, I saw some sort of tape or obstruction, and so I didn't turn.
Okay. On the way to run your errands, did you encounter a roadblock on Trescott?
I did.
All right, so you did turn off of Centerville onto Trescott.
I did.
I went to turn on Trescott Drive, but I saw that it had been blocked off by some tape, and so I just kept driving on Centerville.
All right, and when you had to turn around at the tape, right, to go back out?
I think I tried to turn right, and it couldn't turn, so I would have made like the kind of turn, like a K-turn thing.
Was there a roadblock there with?
There was tape.
Yeah, and an officer was there?
I didn't see an officer, but I did see a car.
A law enforcement marked vehicle? Okay, did you have any contact with the officer?
No.
That's what this war is all about. You can't legally take possession of the caves as long as the Wachatis inhabit the area. And you want that dookie so bad you can taste it.
But, sir, I thought that...
Yep, thank you.
That's a fine theory, Mr. Ventura. What's it got to do with me?
Oh, that's what you slipped in. That's what was on your shoe. And that explains the abrasion on your palm. Let me run that back for you. That's what you slipped in. That's what was on your shoe. And that explains the abrasion on your palm. Damn, I'm good. Can you feel that? Huh? Can you feel it, Captain Compost? The day of redemption is at hand. Repent, and thou shalt be saved.
Police respond to the sound of gunfire in a quiet Tallahassee neighborhood.
I'm standing outside of the home that police had taped off early this morning. We're going to go through the timeline of events of the little information that we do have. Around 11 a.m., a neighbor called police hearing a loud bang noise. First responders found a person with a gunshot wound. That was the loud bang that neighbors heard. They were taken to a local hospital. Now, we don't have the identity of the victim or where that person was shot.
TPD is going to do and look at everything. So we're going to start our search out wide, and it could be anything that occurred, and narrow it down to where the evidence directs us.
There was an ambulance at the residence and did see someone being brought out. Can't really describe who or what was being brought out, but they were bringing somebody out on a stretcher.
TPD says if you have any information on this case, you're asked to call them, and as soon as we get any more details, we'll pass them along to you.
Tallahassee police investigators now say Dan Markell was the intentional victim of a deadly shooting. Monday, police officers went door to door in the Benton Hills neighborhood where the murder took place. They were asking to see if anybody saw something between the hours of 10 in the morning to noon on Friday.
I just listened to my voicemail.
What'd you hear?
Who
was your voicemail?
It's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I
had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah, that's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way. It's all right. Just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
Do you want to just hit play again for me?
Sure.
Hey, it's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well, and if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon.
Stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
Okay. Do you have your identification with you? So you never took the last name of Markle?
No.
Adelson. Wendi with an I. Joe. All right. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, excuse me, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay?
I'm sorry. I have a message from him this morning. What happened?
Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth.
Okay.
Okay? And then once we've established all that, I can give you more details.
Okay.
Do you understand why I wanted you to come here before I discuss this?
Oh my God.
That's okay. No, you have nothing to be sorry about.
I just don't understand. How could this really happen?
Can you let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right.
I have no idea. I mean, did they just search for my car? Like, I am just amazed. I was at lunch with Janine and Ritu, I don't know if you know them, friends of mine, and these officers walk in, and I just like, we just finished, I ate a lunch, like I had a whole delicious lunch, and they're like, are you Wendi? We need to speak with you. They found me eating lunch. I don't know how that happened. I'm fascinated still.
We have ways of finding
Yeah, it's interesting. So you called they called my husband's cell phone. Interesting. So you called they called my husband's cell phone.
We have ways of finding
Yeah, it's interesting.
Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there, I didn't leave this morning, I didn't leave until noon.
Okay. And
Oh my god, and I tried to drive up Trescott, and I saw that it was blocked.
Taking crazy pills!
who was at your house this morning?
The only person that was at my house this morning was a guy from Best Buy, because my TV was broken and it's under warranty.
Easy for you.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay, a guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV?
I have his name and everything at the house if you want it, because the boys broke the TV, so he gave me a choice of fixing it or getting a new one.
What time did he come to the house?
He called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Okay. And then you
and then after he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the citations.
Okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just working for an hour or so from the house. I was gonna take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time. I did laundry, and then I left the house around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party?
Yeah.
Okay, you went down which road you said?
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and drove to, I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton, took Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott? You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott? You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right, so you...
I don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
Okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville...
I almost always cut through Trescott.
Trescott and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of, like, coming to terms with the divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay.
If the kids aren't home and I know they're not home, I feel better about driving by the house. But yeah, it's shorter, and I just usually drive by.
It's shorter than going all the way down to Benton?
All the way down Centerville and around Benton. It's just
Right.
a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so you turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it?
Yeah.
Down to Benton, and went to the liquor store down there on Thomasville?
Yeah.
The one at Benton Road? ABC
Liquors, it's at, Benton. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, did you make a purchase there?
Yeah.
And that was sometime after 12?
Probably 12:30.
Okay.
Okay, but he might make it.
I don't want to give you that false hope.
I'm sorry, I just thought he was gone, and now I don't know what to tell. It's sort of a game changer.
I know, and that's why I was kind of asking you.
He made it sound like he was gone.
I don't think it's good though.
I know I mean, that's sort of what he said, but I assumed he was saying that like euphemistically.
And that's why I'm kind of because I don't want to be misleading in this conversation.
Is there any way to find out if like, because if he might be okay, like I want to bring the kids to him so they can.
And that's kind of stuff we'll talk about in a little, but let me ask him.
I just think that's different, right? Like, if he's not going to make it and he can see the kids one more time, then he should see them. So, is there, like, are we getting updates from the hospital?
They have been, they were at the hospital. Obviously, when, something like this happens, they do go to the hospital.
How did this, so when it happened, did someone call the police because they heard a gunshot or something? How would they know did he call the police? How would they know to take him to the hospital?
I don't know the answers to all these, and I'm not, I'm gonna let, when Investigator Eisen comes back in here, I'll let you kind of ask some of those questions.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But I didn't want you to think, I'm sorry, I just didn't want you to think that he was
I thought he was gone.
And that's what I was getting from your conversation, and I didn't want it to be.
If he's still alive, I need to make different choices.
Right.
I want the boys to be with him. Well, I don't know. I mean, if he looks scary, then.
Right, and that's what.
Is that why? Does he look scary? Is that why?
I don't know. I haven't seen him.
Because I think that would be more traumatizing for the kids to see like something horrible. Right. I don't want them to.
And I will say, from a victim advocate perspective, I always recommend people not to, especially young children.
They're so little. I mean, they could like. I want them to have. If it's gonna have to be memories, I want them to be good. Because their last memory would have been him taking them to school this morning. This morning.
And the Oscar goes to...
Wendi Adelson.
someone call the police because they heard a gunshot or something?
I
Like, how would they know to, like, did he call the police? How would they know to take him to the hospital?
I'm sorry, I just didn't want you to think that he was.
I thought he was gone.
And that's what I was getting, that's what I was getting from your conversation, and I didn't want it to be.
If he's still alive, I need to make different choices.
I'm sorry, I just didn't want you to think that he was.
I thought he was gone.
And that's what I was getting from your conversation, and I didn't want it to be.
I thought he was gone.
And that's what I was getting from your conversation, and I didn't want it to be.
And I talked to a guy there because I don't really buy much alcohol. And so
Very manipulative person, a pathological liar. Wendy was an alcoholic while I was with her. She drank her dinner most nights.
So they wanted bourbon, and I asked the guy. We had a whole conversation about bourbon and my eyes. Like,
Your eyes?
he just said, "Your eyes are really blue."
You have contacts?
I do. But I just remembered it.
Right.
So I bought the bourbon and got some gas on Thomasville and met my friends at Mosaic.
Which gas station did you go to on Thomasville?
The one that's I always forget the name, but the one that's close to the cross street. It's right next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
If you're heading north on Thomasville, if you're heading north on Thomasville, it's on your right.
Okay. Just past the Goodwill
Just
place?
past the Goodwill. It's close to the intersection there.
Okay. All right. And then from that point, you went straight to the
Went to Mosaic.
Mosaic restaurant?
And met friends there. I used to have kind of a steady Friday meeting, and I hadn't seen my two friends in a while. And so we had made plans to meet up.
What time did you get to Mosaic?
About 1. I was a little late. We were supposed to meet at 1.
Now, are you familiar with the area at Thomasville Road and I-10 where Mosaic was located back in 2014 when it was around?
Yes.
Were there any liquor stores in that area back in July of 2014?
There were, yes.
Okay, which ones?
So we have the Publix liquor store. They're off of Thomasville Road, Market Square Liquors, Market Square Shopping Center, and there is another ABC location a little further north on Thomasville Road.
What route could she have taken to one of those 3 liquor stores?
Of many, one of the routes is the one depicted here by the red dashed lines, which would have taken her up Centerville Road and then over to Thomasville and down to Mosaic.
What route did she actually take to go to the ABC liquor down on Thomasville and then to Mosaic?
We can see here her path would have been the purple line, and the shortest distance again being the red dotted line.
Now I know, I mean obviously that looks like the shortest distance, but how much shorter are we talking about?
Oops. So we can only, our mapping, our GIS software is able to provide approximate travel times and distances, kind of like Google Maps. And so what we can see is that the miles for the shortest route would have been 3.63, and they estimate travel time in about 11 minutes. The other travel was almost 9.5 miles, which they estimate travel at a little over 20 minutes.
my brother, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to, he makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like, he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. I mean, he would never. you know, my parents are, you know, very angry towards him. But even when they're around my kids, they would never say a bad word about my kid's father. They're really, really careful about that. They just like him, but they know he's the father of my kids. They would never do that.
Right. Then he was really concerned about parental alienation. But he was really concerned that the grandmother, Donna Adelson, was really trying to drive a wedge between him and the children. And he actually told me that he heard her refer to him as stupid on a Skype call. He couldn't see her in the Skype screen, but he heard her say something to the effect of "stupid's on the phone." And he was livid about it. And he was ready to basically kind of go to war over that.
Did that sort of reference the filing that we're familiar with where Grandma says you're stupid, and he was seeking to have Grandma enjoined from having unsupervised contact with the kids?
Yeah, and I didn't have the opportunity to actually talk to him about that yet because he was killed. But it was my understanding that after that filing, he heard her. Actually, he heard her. Because that's what he told me. He said, I heard her call me stupid.
Wendi appears to be the weakling of the pack. She needs to be protected. She needs to be helped. She needs to be coddled. She needs to be saved by Donna and the defendant.
When I was little, I wanted to be a giraffe.
Wendi.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.